YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. And we're through day one of NBA free agency, a crazy night one, I should say. And then we're halfway through day two. Started working on this video last night, actually, and there's been a lot of changes already. So I have 8 winners, 9 losers. Changes will still be made. So at this point, Kawhi Leonard has not signed yet. So if you're listening to this, it's the 1st of July. Kawhi Leonard has not been signed yet, so this could be updated. We may make another video or two going forward, but this is what I got at this point. Changes keep coming in. I actually, right before recording this, just added a team that will show at the end to the winners group. So it was originally 7 winners, 9 losers. So we'll go through all these teams in detail here right before we get started. Subscriber goal by the end of this year is at 40K. Please help us out if you are not a subscriber to our channel. It'd be much appreciated. We also have daily sports videos, NFL, NBA. So I think you would be happy with subscribing to our channel. Check out our Twitter. You see at the top right of that screen. And there's a link in the description. Clicking the like button will be much appreciated as well. Let's get the obvious ones out of the way. First winner. We'll start with a winner, even though there's more losers. But again, a lot of this can change depending on some last big-time signings we're waiting on. But big winners in that. It's pretty obvious. I don't know if they're a big winner, but it's still tough because KD's injured, but you could argue he's the best player in basketball when healthy, so we'll see how he is when he comes back. But getting Kyrie and KD is really the topper. That's the biggest news here and the craziest NBA free agency in history, and they deserve to be winners for this. They actually took a little less money to make DeAndre Jordan happen, and a little less money where they would have went elsewhere. Well, KD, that is. So 4-year, $164 million for KD, 4-year, $141 million for Kyrie. That's a lot of money, but good deals there because they're really good players, considered elite players. And then the main part of this is, they would have been winners with just those two, but DeAndre Jordan, when I heard, this is going to be the big three, they got to get DeAndre Jordan for KD to come. I found it a little funny. DeAndre Jordan kind of out of his prime, a little bit on the decline. There's still a shortage on centers, and he's still a solid one. So I wasn't really hyped on that part. But then when we got the details, 4-year, $40 million, that's a hell of a deal. That is a hell of a deal compared to other contracts and what I thought he would get. So that really tops it off, and it's a really good deal. So I like the 3 they brought in there. Losing D'Angelo Russell's tough, but it makes up for it for who they brought in there. But D'Angelo Russell kind of turning that franchise around just really last year, so wasn't a guarantee what he was going to do this year. So maybe any Nets fans out there, maybe it's a little sad to see him go, but obviously at the end you're happy here. They're a big winner. It's an obvious one. Let's move on to an obvious loser, and it's the Knicks. They expected to get Kyrie Irving and KD, maybe at least one of them. Maybe it was Kyrie and Jimmy Butler. I don't really include Zion Williamson in this. That doesn't really go into them losing. They couldn't really control the lottery. So people are ripping them for that. Understand why, but you can't really say that's a loss that they didn't get Zion. But it's really a loss that they didn't get the free agents they wanted to get. Main reason being they traded Kristaps Porzingis to do this, and they couldn't make it happen. So that's really a loss. And then you look who they signed. They signed a lot of players at this point, some very recent ones, but to list off the guys they signed, Bobby Portis, Julius Randle, Taj Gibson, Reggie Bullock, Alfred Payton, and Wayne Ellington. So a bunch of players that can play, not a whole bunch of money dished out, for each one, but you start putting them together, it's a lot of money that's just like, why, where we know we're not going to win now. Let's let RJ Barrett go out and play. Julius Randle makes sense too because he's young, he can play. Bobby Portis, same thing. But they went out and spent, I think a lot of money that was unnecessary. Not a ton of money, but I guess they needed players. Not too many players under contract. But one other thing that really confuses me, Bobby Portis, Julius Randle, and Taj Gibson all are power forwards. And I know Julius Randle has experience when Anthony Davis was out at center. To me, a little undersized for center. It's really weird they got 3 power forwards there, 2 of them who actually played for the Bulls. Really, I like all 3 players. They're nothing crazy. It was just a little weird. But the main reason being what they did with Porzingis and not being able to, get it done, get the big players in here, means they're a loser here. And, RJ Barrett's going to be fun to watch. He's going to score an insane amount of points. So that's what I got. I got the Knicks as the first loser. Let's get another loser, another really big loser. unfortunately, that really not getting enough talk. And it's the Minnesota Timberwolves. The fans over there were convinced they were getting D'Angelo Russell. Now, we'll talk a little bit more about D'Angelo Russell when we get to the Warriors, but there's reports that maybe he could actually be traded from the Warriors. If that happens, I guess we'll give an update on my thoughts on that, but as of now, he's on the Warriors. The T-Wolves thought they were going to get him. Just missing out on one player that you thought you were going to get, it's not a huge loss. It's somewhat of a loss, but at the same time, Cat really wanted D'Angelo, and the whole thing with Andrew Wiggins too. So it's tough. It's tough. It's hard to see. Wiggins can't be happy about that. Maybe they still do trade him, and they're sitting here with not a whole bunch of cap space when it's a team that's should have more cap space than they have. So. And they're not able to make these signings. They need to make a trade, and over the years they've been trading draft picks, and the Jimmy Butler trade was a mess. So all of that put together, it's really disappointing. It's really, I guess that's the best word for it, disappointing what's going on in Minnesota there. Maybe they're trying to get a future trade for D'Angelo Russell here. So I don't know, but it's a bigger loser than people think. I think so. Really, the whole thing with Wiggins is really like tops it off. It's not good. The chemistry again, with Jimmy Butler was kind of messy. They got him out of there. Seemed like it was better, even though the team wasn't still playing all that well, and it might be a little messy again. So that's why the T-Wolves are a loser for me. Another loser is gonna be the Rockets, a team that thought they were gonna get Jimmy Butler. They're trying to make all these trades to secure Jimmy Butler. So it's kind of a two things there. They couldn't get a guy like Jimmy Butler. We won't really just say they're a loser because they didn't get Jimmy Butler. But also they're just not able to trade any of the bad cap that they want to move. So, and they're not able to sign anybody. They signed Rivers and Daniel House. I don't hate those or I don't love those. So that's not why they're on the loser category. They just can't make those trades. They need more with James Harden. James Harden made that clear. They can't do it unless something crazy is about to happen again. If something crazy happens with, whether it's this team, other teams, we'll come back. We'll make another video. But at this point, it's a clear loser here for the Rockets. Another team, the next couple teams, it's kind of a wait and see. But for right now, when Kawhi has not been signed yet, these teams are on the loser board. And that's the Clippers, one. There was reports they can actually get Jimmy and Kawhi Leonard. Couldn't make it happen. The main one was Kawhi Leonard. They can still get him. It's still an option. It doesn't sound like it's likely, but still an option. We may revisit this because they do get Kawhi. It really turns into a winner. But right now, not much going on. Beverly, I think, got a little much, but still, I guess somebody they wanted back. So this is one that's, for now, the Clippers are a loser. And the same thing here for the Lakers. For now, they're a loser. I think a little more than the Clippers, though, because the Lakers really have nobody on their roster. They signed Troy Daniels. That's nothing special at all. Those are the type of players they have to get because of their situation. And really, I guess LeBron could be considered a loser, too, because it just feels like as we sit right now on the 1st of July, early on the 1st of July, LeBron, once again, really doesn't have much help. He has Anthony Davis, but he lost a bunch of key guys. They weren't playing too great last year. They weren't getting anywhere with them. It was only 1 year with LeBron James, and those guys still learning. So once again, LeBron's not going to have much help unless they get Kawhi. If they get Kawhi, it turns into a winner. But there's really nothing on this roster. I don't know who's running the point guard. It's a little messy. They have Kuzma too, so I guess they have 3 solid guys. But really, I think you get my point. There's really nothing outside of that, and a point guard being the most important position on the floor, in my opinion. They need to step that spot up. You can get away with it if you have a guy like Kawhi too, but as of now, they're definitely in the loser column. And a winner, speaking of Kawhi Leonard, I think Kawhi Leonard's a winner. I'm happy to see he doesn't rush into anything. A lot of these guys feel like they just have to, I don't know if the money's flash in front of them, they just have to go get it. Or if they want to be, right away in that, get that attention right away. I'm not really sure what it is. It's just smart of Kawhi to sit back, relax, let this play out. He's still going to get a bunch of money. Maybe earned a little bit more than he was going to. It's probably the same amount, but we'll see what he does. Sounds like Raptors or Lakers, and the third option will be the Clippers. We'll see. It's hard to see him not go back after they just won, but at the same time, now I guess I can see it. But he's a winner for sitting this out. No hurry. He understands that. And I applaud him for that. Another player that is going to be on here is Jimmy Butler. We talked about him a little bit ago, and I'm putting him as a loser because, and I still haven't made a decision on the Heat. I kind of want to hear more about the Heat. They're an undecided category because they did get a really good player in Jimmy Butler, but they're moving all these pieces. Did they really get better? They got better in terms of a star, star power, but they've lost a lot of players here and there. I don't know if they really get better. I've heard rumors that they may try to trade for another piece like Bradley Beal, but do they have the money for that? The money situation's a little tricky, so it's kind of back and forth for the Heat. Maybe it's a team we update in the future. So to be clear, this is not giving an L to the Heat. It's to me, it's Jimmy Butler. He can't make up his mind if he wants to win now or if he wants to be the guy, and that's really why he's on here. He's not going to win now with the Heat unless they go out and get somebody crazy, and they still may not win. They can contend maybe for a deep playoff run if they get somebody else, but they're still not going to be the champion, I don't think. So I'm not really sure what Jimmy's up to. I'm not really sure what he's up to. He can't really make up his mind on what he wants to do. So with this situation, he's not trying to win quite yet. Maybe he sees something in the near future. Maybe they got moves planned. Maybe they told him they're going to get somebody else. But right now, he's the guy there. Pretty much the only guy. I mean, they have some other young pieces, but I'm not really sure what Jimmy's up to. Doesn't really seem like the best teammate over the years either, so I'm not sure. It's an interesting situation, really hopping on different teams lately. I mean, what has he been on? 4 teams already? The Bulls, the T-Wolves, the Sixers, and the Heat. It says a lot about his character. I'm a Bulls fan. I love Jimmy for what he did in Chicago. I love his game. He's a great, two-way player. But it's an interesting situation to keep an eye out for. Speaking of the Sixers, I got them under the win column here. And an interesting one because actually we'll start with the Al Horford deal. I don't really like the Al Horford deal. I don't really like it, but they're still a winner. They're still a big winner, and we'll get to why. But the Al Horford deal, 4-year, $109 million. I mean, I don't hate it, but I definitely don't like it. He can still play. Like I said, there's a shortage on big men. But it almost seemed like he was starting to go on the decline last year. So it's a lot of money for that type of guy. But, I mean, overall, with getting Al Horford, you got better. You got a solid player. But why are they a big winner? I like Tobias Harris. It's a lot of money, 5-year, $180 million. It's a lot of money, but I really like his game. Can do multiple things. Seems like he's getting better. I mean, he is only 27. First thought, I thought he was a little closer to his 30s or maybe 30. But it seems like he's definitely getting better. He should be at the point where maybe may stay in the same. Seems like he's getting a lot better in every part of the game. So I do like Tobias Harris. And they get Mike Scott back. Don't hate it, don't love it. But Josh Richardson's really the topper. It's what makes this a big winner because they were losing Jimmy Butler anyways, and I love Jimmy Butler's game. He's a all-star player easily. But I don't know if it was really working out with him in the Sixers. I just don't know if that was. And they knew they were going to get him back at some point. So instead of nothing, they get Josh Richardson, who can shoot and who can play the 2. That's lost J.J. Redick. So I like Tobias, but the main thing, what sets them up here is Josh Richardson getting him out of basically nothing is the way I see it. Maybe some people were like, well, they lost Jimmy Butler. To me, they were losing him. I didn't think he was going back. And I don't know if he really worked out all that well with the Sixers. Obviously, he's a good player, could make them better, but it's a pretty good starting 5 they got going here, as you can see. So I like the Sixers as a winner. Another big winner to me is the Blazers. Big winner here. Because of recent news. Well, really, you could argue they're a winner already after extending Damian Lillard, who's one of the best players in the NBA, one of the best point guards in the NBA, 4-year, $196 million. Definitely deserve that. So they lock him up. That's a win. And they sign Hezonja and Hood. Not a lot of money dished out there. Just good rotation, guys. Nothing crazy there. But trading for Whiteside, I really like this. Yeah, it's a lot of money, but they're able to do this in here and finally add a legit big man. Which they had a couple good ones last year, but at a legit big man that really needed a new, place to play in Hassan Whiteside, and they don't really trade anything. Myers Leonard, which they're fine with dumping. Mo Harkless, they are perfectly fine with dumping. So it's a great job for the Portland Trailblazers. The Zers, they're a big winner for me. Let's go on to a loser here, and it's gonna be the Charlotte Hornets. Kind of a mess here, and they're going for the tank. They're going for the first pick, so I guess that's good, I guess. But losing Kemba Walker, obviously, and then getting Terry Rozier, 3-year, $58 million. It's not a lot of money compared to other guys, but it's still a lot of money, and it's for a guy that's been a backup. He's been a pretty darn good backup. He still has upside. I'm just not in love with that. I mean, he could be their point guard of the future, but it's just kind of back and forth on it. But just mainly no Kemba, and just the route they've been taking. They're not bringing Kaminsky back, or maybe they could sign him for cheaper. He's sitting around. I'm not a fan of his game. It kind of starts then in that draft. They just had to have him. They could have traded at the time for more picks. Could have more players right now. It's just a mess over there. It's really a mess. They're going on the tank bus there, so that doesn't really make any sense. But that's the direction they're going. And where they're at now, I guess it's the right one, but I just don't like what they've been doing. A winner here, and it's just for one reason. The Nuggets win, and it's for the Jamal Murray deal, 5-year, $170 million. Yes, a lot of money, but that's going to look like a steal in the long run. I think Jamal Murray's on his way to being, I'll say, an elite player. I'm not a Nuggets fan, but I love Jamal Murray's game. 5-year, $170 million. We see how it goes up every single year. So in a few years, that's going to look like a steal to me as long as he keeps up where he's going. Still a young player. The Nuggets are heading the right track. I love that extension. Again, the main reason it's going to look like a steal in a few years when he's, either elite or just right there towards elite basketball player. So the Nuggets win. A loser is the Kings. I am not sure about these deals the Kings are dishing out. And they've been kind of a mess for a while, so it's nothing like crazy surprising. But I really like the backcourt. I really like the point guard, shooting guard duo and De'Aaron Fox and Buddy Hield. I really like that duo. So, I mean, they could actually, it's a team that really in 1 year could just make that jump from just the Kings to the Kings. They can just adding some pieces. I know it's hard. I guess people don't really want to go there. I guess that's kind of tough. I don't know if they're really trying. But just like that, if they add a really good big man and maybe a solid small forward, and then Marvin Bagley's at power forward. So, I mean, that's a team in just an offseason could be a legit, almost contender, really. And then what they're doing, though, they're kind of keeping themselves out of that. Harrison Barnes, 4-year, $85 million. I mean, he's a solid player. Is he worth that much money? Is he going to get you anywhere? No. Dwayne Dedmon, 3-year, $40 million. I know $40 million doesn't look like a lot compared to everyone else, but it's still a lot of money, and you're dishing out to a guy like Dwayne Dedmon. I hate it. Corey Joseph, 3-year, $37 million. I mean, it's a guy that really wasn't anything that special. He had a couple good years, kind of washed up. It's, first glance, $37 million compared to the money that other people are getting, not a lot, but it's still a lot of money, and you're just giving it away to me. I don't like the deal. And then Trevor Ariza, 2-year, $25 million. The same thing applies there. Used to be a good player, kind of washed up. It's still $25 million. It's still a cap hit over the next 2 years when you're a team that is really one or two solid players away from in the playoffs and maybe more. And it's just mind-blowing to me. This might be the biggest loser. People may say the Knicks, but, I mean, the Knicks, I was about to say they can't really help it, but they could. They did trade away Porzingis. But were they going to be able to re-sign him? So that's where I kind of give them somewhat of a pass. They're still a loser. To me, the Kings are the biggest loser for the reasons I explained. They got a big three in the making, and they could add more than that, more to that. And they're kind of ruining their chances with this 4-year deal, this 3-year deal, this 3-year deal, and a 2-year deal to guys. I'm okay with the Barnes one. I can live with Harrison Barnes because he can play. The other three, it adds up, and it's players they don't really, what are you going to do with these players? What are you going to do? So the more I'm talking about it, the more I'm hating it, and I'm getting mad, and I'm not even a Kings fan. So it is what it is. They've kind of been a mess in the front office. DeMarcus Cousins trade actually looks okay. I really like what they do. I like Buddy Hield a lot there. So, and they got De'Aaron Fox out of it, so I like him a lot. So, I mean, they didn't have a first-round pick this past year, or they ended up trading back in. But originally they didn't have a first-round pick from what they've done. So, it's nothing crazy surprising, but, I mean, come on. Come on now. So next team that's a winner, and they have one signing, and I just really like the signing. I think it's a steal. Maybe a little biased because I'm not a Pistons fan, but I'm a huge Derrick Rose fan, my favorite basketball player of all time. But I don't think it's biased because it's 2-year, $15 million. It's really nothing for a guy that it's almost like he's reviving his career. I know he can't really stay healthy, but for the most part he did last year. 2-year, $15 million. I mean, why not? Him and Blake Griffin, almost said Bortles for some reason. Big difference in talent there. Him and Blake Griffin, if healthy, that's the key word, if healthy, that is going to be really, really fun to watch. Really fun to watch. Blake Griffin has all of a sudden become underrated. I think he's really one of the top players in the NBA, the way he carried that Pistons team last year. He's got to stay healthy. They really needed him. Derrick Rose got to stay healthy. So that's the downfall of that. That's the downside. So, but look at the numbers, 2-year, $15 million. I expected more. I mean, my Bulls are looking for another point guard. Why not bring Rose back for a little more than that? It's just, that's the way I think about it. So 2-year, $15 million is nothing compared to everything else here. So that's a good deal. It's a fun player to watch. Hopefully he stays healthy. Him and Blake Griffin. To me, the Suns are back on the loser column here. After the draft, kind of ties into it. You trade back, you pass on some good point guards. And then I guess Rubio's the type of point guard they needed, so I almost didn't put them in here for that reason. But, 3-year, $51 million is just kind of taking it's almost like the Kings. Like it's a team that it's not anywhere near as bad, but it's a team that just like that can go to a playoff contender, having young assets and Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton, who I guess applied to the young assets, but some guys they drafted over the years. This last year I didn't really like their draft, but this past draft that was a few weeks ago I'm talking about. And they just go with Rubio at $51 million. Who else are you going to get, I guess? So I was kind of on the fence with this one, but I'm just really not liking their direction. The draft kind of ties into this. And we got 2 more left. The Warriors with D'Angelo Russell. It's a win for me. It's a win because, it's a lot of money, and they did lose KD. But once you're losing KD, there's really nothing you can do about it. They were going to offer him more money. So this is why I love these types of teams, and they're here. They come around here and there. There's a few of them today, and in this game and other sports, they lose KD. They want to win championships. They know it's their time to win championships. So what do? They go and just get better in any way that they possibly can, and that's what they did. They get another shooter. I know Klay's going to be out, so he's going to take a spot, and they're going to make it work when Klay comes back. And there's rumors that they may have got him to trade him. So I guess we'll update this if that comes. But right now he's on the Warriors. They paid him a lot of money, 4-year, $117 million, and then Klay. Getting Klay back's great. 5-year, $189 million. They're going to trade Iggy, which they're going to miss his defense. I guess really the only defense they had. So I guess they trade some picks along with it. So that hurts a little bit. But they're still in championship mode. They're not sitting back. Basketball's a different game. They're not sitting back and be like, do we need another shooter? I guess we need another big man. Do they get afraid to get better? They're not afraid to get better. That's the bottom line. And that's what they won championships. And that's what they do. There's some teams that are just too afraid to get better. There's teams that are like, well, we have a really good young piece here. We could sign a better guy in that position. I understand letting a guy grow, but there's some teams that are just afraid to get better. The Warriors are definitely not one of them. I'm really looking forward to watching their big three, I guess, when Klay's back. We'll say Curry and D'Lo here. So we'll see. I like it. Some people are on the other side of that, but I really like it. We'll see what they do with that in the future. And they did re-sign Klay. I kind of touched on that, but it's a good thing. You got Klay back, even though he's hurt. And then, like I talked about in the beginning of this video, I added a winner. I was about to record, and something came in, and I changed to a winner. May surprise some people, but I'm giving the Celtics a win. And it's not really because Kemba Walker. Obviously, it's good. You're going to lose Kyrie anyways. Kemba Walker's not as good, but not far off. I like Kemba Walker's game. Always have. And so it's a good replacement. So that's good. But they weren't going to be on this big winner list because of it. Because it's just Kemba. You lose Kyrie. You lose Al Horford. But going back to Al Horford, even though I had the Sixers as a winner, and I explained why I wasn't a fan of Al Horford deal. I think it's too much for a guy that might be on the decline. So they don't pay Al Horford that money. To me, that's good, but only if you can get a replacement. And a guy that I think is very, very underrated and a very solid center is Enes Kanter, and they steal him on a 2-year, $10 million deal. To me, that's a steal. They didn't get better. They didn't get worse. You think about it, Kemba could actually be better than he was on the Hornets, who've been a mess. And then Kanter playing with those guys, maybe he'll stay the same. I think he's been solid. But then you got the young talent, you got Tatum, Jaylen Brown. They drafted pieces. They're going to have a great bench. So at the end of the day, they may have gotten better. I'm actually going to say it. So I actually like what the Celtics did here. I'm not crazy in love with it, but I like it. I mentioned that I thought the Kings were probably the biggest loser out of this whole group. Who's the biggest winner? The Nets will be the obvious choice. If I had to choose a biggest winner here, the Nets would be the obvious choice. But I would probably go with the Blazers too, though. Damian Lillard, extending him, getting Whiteside, I think he'll thrive there. And then trading pieces you didn't need, and you're bringing back pieces for cheap that could be solid off the bench in the rotation. So I like what the Blazers did. So maybe we'll make another one of these. Free agency just got started. We can make more videos on the NBA. Any suggestions, I'm always looking for those, even though we have things always planned and ready to go. We also have plenty of NFL content on the way. Can't wait for the NFL season. We cover it fully in season. And then we're going to have more predictions on that too. So click that button right there, that subscribe button if you haven't yet. It'd be much appreciated. Daily sports videos here at the Goat House. Click that like button, much appreciated. We work really hard here to bring you the daily videos. But that's going to do it for this one. Thanks everyone for watching. Goodbye.